Hey guys, so what we're just looking at now is the long run aggregate supply and the PPE curve, and just their basic movements and kind of how they link together. This is a real key part, is linking these two models together for excellence. So you would have drawn graphs something similar to this. So this is an example of a double shift of aggregate demand and aggregate supply, and then you'll see that there's an example of a movement of long run aggregate supply again. Same thing. If you'll notice on the first one, we have a first movement of the AD curve and then a movement of the AS curve. On the second one, we have movement of the AS curve and then the AD curve. Okay, so there you go, showing up. Cool. So what we're particularly looking at in this video is the link between the long run aggregate supply and the PPF curve, or the possibility frontier curve. So you'll notice that on the left we have a long run aggregate supply and then a shift in the long run aggregate supply out to the right. This is just an indicative. In your graphs, you should have something looking like one of those other ones, or just a simple aggregate demand moving out and then long run aggregate supply moving out as well. So long run aggregate supply is the measure that we use for the potential output of our entire economy, and that's the maximum that we could ever produce at that one point in time. Now, anytime, so that first line, the LRAS without anything, is the same line as the smaller circle, smaller quarter circle on our PPF curve. So that line measures the exact same thing, okay? The full curve, so this guy here, okay, measures the exact same thing as this one here. Okay, so if we're producing at full employment or full capacity, we'd be looking at the C on here, and we'd be looking at producing anywhere on this line, and the price would kind of just dictate as to where exactly that was on that line. Okay, so that line here and this one are the exact same. Now, when we see an increase in long run aggregate supply out to LRAS1, that shows us that we've had an increase in productive capacity, or an increase in potential ability to increase our output in our economy, and that can be things like utilizing resources better, better trained people, more resources and available of capital, okay, and then moving out to that, and that line is the same line as this new line, which is drawn out here on our PPF curve. Now you'll see that we have our point A, B, C, and D. Previously, D was unattainable at our first line of LRAS and our first point on the graph. Now that we've had our productive capacity shifted and everything moved outwards, we can now reach D. Okay. Most of the times when you see an increase of one of these graphs and somewhere in these movements, okay, they're looking at actually moving from A to B or closer towards C. So not actually an increase in productive capacity. Remember, productive capacity is only going to increase if our long run aggregate supply is going to shift outwards. Okay, so anytime that we have an increase from aggregate AD to AD1 up over here, okay, we've moved out from Y0 to Y1. When that goes away, that is actually just us moving out from A to B or B to C, or anything along that, moving further out towards the edge of that curve. Okay, so for excellence, you just need to have a PPF curve, as well as a long run aggregate supply curve drawn on your graph. And then just the link between them is explaining the productive capacity, this line equals that line, and that kind of concept that I just talked about.